Hey guys, I'm Dov, and today I'm back with more Total War Warhammer 2 online action. Today we're back with the Empire. I mean, clearly, if you couldn't tell from the Emperor himself up on Deathclaw here, going to be taking on the Tomb Kings in the desert today. Very cool and thematic matchup. So let's go ahead and take a look at the builds here. Of course, Karl Franz up on Deathclaw. We've got him fully kitted out here with Hold the Line, Foe Seeker, Stand Your Ground, Right Glen Runefang, and Gal Miraz. In terms of the front line, we've got some State Troop Spearmen with shields. Also got some Swordsmen, Sigmar's Sons in the center, the Unbreakable Regiment of Renown. Of course, with the Emperor, we're going to be taking a Jade Wizard. Naturally, we've got Earthblood and Regrowth. Over here, we've got some Empire Knights with the Royal Altdorf Griffites and Warrior Priest. Of course, against the Tomb Kings, we've included the Banner of Eternal Flame to help snipe out characters. That's going to be currently affecting the Royal Altdorf Griffites, as well as this Great Cannon here, which we've got one here, one on the far side. And that's pretty much it for my build. Some more Empire Knights over there. And for my opponent, he's got quite a few groups of carrion. 3 groups of carrion here, some Skeleton Horsemen. He's also got the Sepulchral Stalker Regiment of Renown, Eyes of the Desert here, currently hidden up on the hill, looking very, very menacing. In the center, getting blasted by the cannons, he's got a couple units of Skeleton Chariots. Cetra up on the chariot as well. Looks like he's taking a leaf out of my own book there, but Cursed Blades, Incantation of Protection, and Incantation of Vengeance. He's also got a Tomb Prince, some Skeleton Warriors, a Tomb Guard, and some Necropolis Knights with Halberds. It's a pretty solid pick. A couple of Skeleton Spears as well. So without further ado, let's get the battle underway. And you can see already blasted a couple of those unit models of the chariots there with just a couple volleys from the Great Cannons there. So that's why I bring him in this matchup. And similar to the video I released yesterday, you can see, just quickly I'm going to point out, can you tell the mistake that my opponent's making? For those of you who watched the last replay I uploaded with, what was it, Greenskins versus Skaven, or I played the Skaven, you can see my opponent is making a mistake here in that you can see he's advancing his mobile units even out in front of his infantry. There's really no reason to bring these mobile units forward this early on. I would even say you want to bring them back. It's a little bit hard to see in the sand, but you can see this is where the edge of the artillery range is. So you would even want to bring them back outside of the artillery range while your infantry advances. I mean, beyond the Tomb Guard and I guess the Tomb Prince, there's really not that much that's very expensive here, so you can let these guys get shelled, you know, let the carrion kind of harass and distract while your infantry's advancing, and then bring the mobile units up a little bit later. Because they're so much faster, they can close this distance much quicker, so there's really no reason to bring them forward this early on, and it's going to end up costing my opponent. You can see he's already taken some damage on the chariots. We're going to turn our attention over to the Necropolis Knights here. So far haven't made any solid hits, but only a couple hits there should be able to do some solid damage. You can see the carrion are going to try and come down and get on this Great Cannon, but the Emperor comes in with the Royal Altdorf Griffites, and everyone just mobbing in, crushing these carrion very quickly, and even dropping that Hammer of Sigmar just to make sure we get through their melee defense, because carrion do actually have really good melee defense. If we have a look here, if I can actually get their unit card to pop up, maybe not, yeah, like 40 melee defense, 46 melee defense. Not bad at all. You can see, meanwhile, over on this side, the chariots are coming through. They just dropped this unit of Empire Spearmen, and they're continuing to pull across the infantry line here, doing quite a bit of damage, actually. But my knights, unfortunately, over here, had to be thrown in to protect against the Eyes of the Desert. This is not a great engagement for these Empire Knights. I fully expected them to lose out here, which they are, but I needed to protect as long as possible. That being said, the carrion are still able to get back here and shut down this cannon, so that's pretty good for my opponent. Unfortunately, the Royal Altdorf Griffites have rolled into this pocket and are chasing the chariots away, getting that sweet Banner of Eternal Flame, and of course Cetra being weak to fire, despite the fact that he does fire damage on the chariot, which has never really made sense to me, but he's going to be taking quite a bit of damage there. Bit of danger, close fire from the cannon over on the far side, shooting into these Necropolis Knights with halberds. And the Demigryph Knights with halberds with the buffs, I mean, normally I think the regular demis would trade very evenly here, but the Royal Altdorf Griffites, because of the Regiment of Renown, we've also got healing dropping as well, and the support of the Warrior Priest. These Royal Altdorf Griffites are going to be able to turn the tables here and beat back those Necropolis Knights without too much issue. That being said, we do want to go after the chariots and try and shut them down protect my infantry as much as possible. You can see this cannon crew probably will come back from routing, might be able to get them back online. And the Tomb King's infantry, this is what I mean, just barely getting into the front line to get the engagement off, whereas this most critical engagement has already mostly happened here. Karl Franz dropping all of his buffs, trying to come down and goon Cetra, finish him off here, but unfortunately for me, the Necropolis Knights with halberds were right on station and weren't quite finished off by the Altar of Pryphites there, so they are going to get a hold of Franz. And I mean, he will be able to drop them, but I really want to go after Cetra here. But very nice use of the incantation of Vengeance there to debuff Karl Franz's speed, so he's not able to keep up with Cetra. That being said, Cetra's days are numbered here. You can see he's going to try and get some work done against the Empire infantry here, but there's really not that much expensive infantry that would warrant the chariot. I mean, I know I brought the chariot myself in a replay not that long ago, but that was mostly just for the lulz. I really don't think it's actually that good of a pick in this matchup. Karl gonna get over here and try and finish Cetra off, but the Necropolis Knights doing their best to defend their king here, the High King Cetra. But anyway, the Tomb Prince also coming over. Unfortunately, because he doesn't have a horse, it's going to be just super slow here. But yeah, Franz has taken some damage, so we're going to go ahead and put a regrowth on him just to make sure that he stays nice and healthy. Meanwhile, over here, the Royal Altar of Pryphites came in to finish off the Eyes of the Desert here, who have managed to compromise this cannon position, and honestly have done very well for themselves. Cut through a unit of Empire Knights. Unfortunately, just getting dragged down here at the end as Cetra is just about to get dropped. Karl Franz able to get back up into the air, and you can see he's got his sights set on Cetra, who managing to cut through this infantry line a little bit here. I'm going to go ahead and turn around and plow through one more time, but straight into the clutches of Karl Franz. And yeah, Karl just finishes him off there, and with that, the Tomb King forces are going to pretty much across the board start crumbling. So yeah, very fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. We are going to hook up some more cinematics of a few more cool shots here. This Tomb Prince trying to advance, trying to hold the leadership together, but unfortunately you can see all the Tomb King units just crumbling away at this point. Even him just disintegrating now, dying to managed to behead one last state troop there before going down, but my opponent did manage to summon some Ushabti there, and yeah, hopefully that kind of demonstrates my point that I was trying to make yesterday about advancing your mobile units later, especially when you're advancing into an overwhelming artillery position. My opponent really didn't need to bring Cetra and the chariots and the Necropolis Knights forward, and the Eyes of the Desert, I mean, they have stalks, so they can hang back relatively close, but still there's no real reason to bring them forward into spotting range until your infantry are on station to be able to get that frontline engagement underway, because, you know, as demonstrated here, you can end up just getting gunned down before you can really make a critical difference in the battle, which is the main thing you want to try and avoid. So anyway, hope you guys enjoyed watching that one. I know you guys like watching Empire replays on my channel, so I figured I would humor you guys and try and get a replay with the Emperor up on Deathclaw, who is actually a very powerful character right now. He has a ton of armor piercing damage, finally has got some buffs. His melee defense is still not quite what I would want, but overall has some good support buffs, can do a lot of single target damage, and just generally drop the terror bomb and everything. So I really like Karl Franz right now up in the air. I've seen some cool replays with him, so yeah. For my opponent there, pretty much already talked about my thoughts. He did have some bright spots. Definitely the Eyes of the Desert were able to perform quite well, taking out a unit of Empire Knights single-handedly and compromising that position on the side. If he had just waited a little bit longer to engage with these other higher value mobile units until this infantry line was fully engaged, that would have definitely been to his benefit there. He could have potentially singled out units a little bit better. You know, I wouldn't have been able to respond all across the board to the chariots like I was. So definitely would have been more beneficial for him to wait. In terms of his actual build, pretty decent overall. I would say maybe a little bit lacking in bodies, and the chariots, while they are nice on paper, are a little bit of a risky pick. I personally would have rather liked to seen what are they, Nekara Horsemen? The sword and board guys. They're pretty cost effective. They can definitely deal alright with Empire cavalry, but certainly better than the chariots, and they're also pretty good against, you know, state troop infantry, just generally applying the swarm to your opponent's backline. They're very effective in that way. Just in general, I think to really maximize the swarm here, I would probably cut the Tomb Prince. He really didn't contribute much to the battle, especially when he's not on a horse. He's just super slow. So I would definitely cut him. I'd probably also cut these Tomb Guard and just bring more bodies in the front line, and then maybe bring some more horsemen as well. Again, cut the 2 skeleton chariots. So, okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and just go into the custom battle screen here. Whoops. And I can go ahead and put together a build for you guys. So, let's see. So yeah, etc. Again, the chariot, probably not the most competitive pick, although the Cambrian War Sphinx also can potentially be pretty risky as well, just because, I mean, it's a bigger hitbox, and also has more HP, so we're going to stick him on the War Sphinx, and just bring these 2 spells, just to make him nice and cheap. We also will bring the Blessed Blade, and I'm going to leave the Crown of Nehekar, just because, again, he's already getting pretty expensive. We're going to try and go with more of a swarm build here, so we'll grab... let's grab 4 Nehekara horsemen. The Eyes of the Desert are like them, and the Necropolis Knights will want the halberd variant, so I definitely like that pick. We'll want plenty of skeleton spears and skeleton warriors in the front line, and then from here we definitely want some carrion as well. Where are they? Here we are. Let's grab some carrion, and at this point we've got about 600 points. You know, we could come in here, grab some skeleton horseman archers. These guys actually have a really long range, one of the longest ranges of any skirmish cav in the game, surprisingly, so you can use them to kind of vanguard up and try and pick off an artillery piece very, very quickly, although on that map I had the benefit of being able to deploy far back in my deployment zone, so it would have been tricky for that to happen, but potentially on another map you can get some good value out of that. Even just drawing, you know, potentially Empire Knights or other mobile units out of position, or just having another mobile unit for them to account for, generally I think would be pretty beneficial. So this is kind of how I would fine-tune my opponent's build there. But overall, fun battle. Hope you guys enjoyed watching. If you do like this sort of content, be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification button, so every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next time.